going? Hey, everybody, welcome to That's Good Stuff, the show where we review pop culture's newest releases. And this week, the newest release was Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Unless someone went to see Lilo and Stitch. Did anyone go see
No,
Lilo?
I did
No.
not.
Not a lot of people are liking it, from what I'm hearing.
I hear it's just the ending, which is disturbing.
Weird.
Yeah.
If it's true. I don't know if it's true.
If it is, it'd be like, that's unnecessary, but okay.
It's already made more money than the animated film. Like it's 4 days. So, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, the 8th Mission Impossible film. This one's directed by Christopher McQuarrie. Who's done like 3? Is it 3?
I think so.
4, 3 or 4.
I think he might have done. This might be the 4th.
I remember. I think this is the 4th.
He did Fallout, Rogue Nation. What was the last one?
Part 1.
Dead Reckoning,
and then Final Reckoning.
And we have Tom Cruise back, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Angela Bassett, lots of other people.
I can't say her last name.
Right?
Oh, Palm?
Yeah, Mantis.
Mantis. All right, and so I'll go through the plot real fast because there's not much of it. We left off, or we pick up where we left off, where Ethan is in the hunt for the AI entity, which a lot of other people would like too. The Americans would like it. The Russians would like it. Gabriel, the main villain, would like it. We'll get to him. But
ironic that Lilo and Stitch came out as a live action because we had a cartoon as the villain for this one. So
it's true. Ethan is the only one who wants to destroy the entity instead of use it for his own purposes. The entity is hiding in cyberspace, right? But his source code is in that submarine, we're told. So Ethan needs to get to this submarine and pull out the source code. And he also needs the pill, which Luther had, but it was stolen. And this pill combined with the source code box will allow them to trap the entity in this super thumb drive that is in this South African vault, the most secure vault in the world that stores all the information. And the entity wants to get in there because it's not connected to the internet, I guess, or something like that. And it's secure. So if it can get in there, it can just run the world. It wants to launch all the nukes, like every bad guy ever. I mean, wasn't that the War Games guy or computer wanted to do that too?
Pretty much.
It wants to launch all the nukes, including, so one by one, each nuclear country is getting taken over. It's very handy how they show us like which countries have fallen until America is left. And so Ethan has his little IMF force, and they're wanted by America, so they're rogue again, like many times in their history. So it's up to them to kind of save the world. And we get 2 big action sets. One is the submarine, and the other is the biplanes, which you've probably seen in the commercial. So we'll go over those fast. But the first hour of this movie is rough, and I was watching and I was like, a 12-year-old has written this movie. That is what is happening right now. We have a 12-year-old writing this movie. We'll go into spoilers. So, yeah, I was not impressed by the first hour of this movie. You guys want to touch on that first hour before we go into like the next? If it picked up for you. I know it picked up for me, but I don't know if it picked up for you guys.
Well, I feel like so I rewatched the part 1 leading up to this last week, and I messaged you guys. Like, I was wondering if my opinion would change, and hey, I just got mud all over my bed. Thank you. I was wondering if my opinion would change going and rewatching it because I didn't care for it originally. But some people were like, "Oh, it's amazing! It has a great Rotten Tomato score. People like it a lot." And I'm like, I don't understand
it's
it.
Fun.
I went back through it, and I was still like, "Yeah, there's just so much lameness. There's so much cheese. The entity is so poorly introduced, where you like." they just like throw the idea of it, and then it just becomes the thing, and everyone's like, oh, we know about the thing. It's like, oh, everyone knows the whole time about the. It's like, where'd this come from? I don't know, horrible. But the first, yeah, like you said, hour, I'd say like fifth or maybe quarter of this movie is, I swear, it's just like leftover from that movie oozing into this one. It has the same bad writing, the same awkward, strange, dramatic tension to it that doesn't vibe well at all with this adventure mission and everything like that. I mean, it is, dramatic and everything. The world's going to blow up, but it just has 100%. It has the ick from the last movie coming into this movie until they get away from the government. Then it's like, okay, we're out of the doo-doo land.
Until they get on that sub.
Yeah.
Thomas,
with Mr. Milchick. So.
Mr. Milchick. Thomas, what did you think of the first part of this movie?
Yeah, the first part's a little rough. Kind of reminds you of some of the shortcomings of the first one. Like the entity, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about the entity. And then you get reintroduced to Gabriel, you're just like, why are you like this?
He's the worst.
I mean, Ving Rhames' character died, Luther died. That was pretty sad because he's been with them since the first movie. But I mean, yeah, it was started off pretty rough. It doesn't really start like really going until he gets into the sub. And also I'm not sure why he needed a carrier to get him to the sub when you could just do like a long range plane and just like jump from there. I don't really.
He wanted an aircraft
because they were going in that space thing. He needed something that had reason to be in that space because there were such conflict around that area.
Hiding from it, yeah. Even some of the threats that were kind of hilarious. There was like, the Russians are hunting us. They have one flat top. I'm just like, yeah, they have one flat top. Like we have 9. Like, I think you're very like overestimating the threat of the Russians compared to the American forces here. It was just rough, but it does pick up significantly.
It does,
especially in a certain set piece that Michael's very excited to talk about. So
so that first part, it was just like, we got to reset the movie. You got to remember to the first movie. We got to go way back.
Oh, yeah. We got to tie in everything.
Man, like it kept saying like, hey, guess what? You know that third movie that was really, 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 really good? Yeah, that whole thing had a point. Don't worry. We're really trying to reference specifically the third movie.
Yeah.
Do you remember
like
John
hardcore?
This guy?
Yeah. What?
What was that thing called? The Rabbit's Foot or something
like Rabbit's Foot in the third one.
We that was so cool, but no one knew what it was. We gotta make it the entity. It's the entity now. And this is all your fault, Tom Cruise. This is all your fault now.
You gave it to him.
And then the plotting is just it's just like, we're here. We need to be there. We'll go there. We got to break Mantis out of jail, even though we had her at the end of the last movie. So why didn't we just keep her? I don't know. We got to go break her out.
She died at the end of the last movie. Like he walks off and she goes. And then
she was pretty rough.
It gives you that little scene where she's down. You're like, oh, she didn't die. You're like, oh yeah. Sure.
It's just that first part, man. It was just, I was sad. I was like, this can't be how this ends. There's like no action, very little action. He gets like captured and he's got to.
There's a lot of running. We get that, but it was like running for no real reason. It's like he's like running down the streets of London. I'm like, why'd you just take a car, man? Like, it's not preventing.
Just steal a car.
Like I get like him running through a building or something like that, or running, because he runs where like vehicles can't go. But the thing is, we saw him and Benji drive up to this thing at the very beginning of the movie. I'm just like, why is he running? So,
like they pick up a character and it's like for no reason. I mean, he's a nice guy and everything, but it's just like, let's bring this dude.
It feels a little too on the nose where you have to kill the black guy, so you got to have another black guy. It's like they don't really introduce him. He's like, I mean, he's in the first one and he's like questioning, are we gonna, shouldn't maybe Ethan has a point to what he's doing? And the guy's like, no, I got big hair, no.
Big hair.
And then he just slides
when they picked him up. when they picked him up, I didn't even know they picked him up because I thought they were just breaking out Mantis. And then they have like that part like, hey, don't shoot anybody. Okay, cool. We're friends. I didn't know your friends was code for, hey, come
You're
with
on the
us.
team,
Yeah. You're on the team now, dude.
You've
Like we're
been
friends now.
recruited.
This is what friends do. So
Luther's death was very anticlimactic for me, I guess. And it was weird because he's like in the beginning, he's at his bench working on stuff. And they like show
Just in a
his,
hospital.
Like, yeah. And then the next part, he's like on, life
tuned
support. And
up.
I'm like, what happened? He's got a nurse, and it was just weird. And then he's got to sacrifice himself for some reason. I don't understand why he couldn't, just undo the bomb without everything exploding. But they say if you do that, everything has to explode. I don't know. That sounds weird for me, but it was just like they needed him to die, so they needed someone to die. So they picked Luther because he was the oldest.
they still killed off Rebecca Ferguson for no reason.
Yeah,
which,
that was terrible too. And then like Haley Atwell, I really liked her in the last one, but this one she just kind of cries. I don't know how to explain it, but she's just like, don't die, Tom Cruise, please don't die. That's like her whole character in this one.
It's like they try to make it romantic, but it's never actually romantic between them.
Yeah, it's
very
like,
strange.
Too old for her.
I don't know. She's almost in her 50s. So I mean, she just looks young. But what I don't get is that she had way more chemistry with Rebecca. He had way more chemistry with Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
And they were into each other, but for some reason, just dead.
And we get.
She's too busy in Dune World.
That might be true.
We get some new characters too. We get Ron Swanson is a general in this one, and then the guy from Mindhunter, he's some kind of secretary. I don't know, Secretary of Defense or something like that.
Mark Gaddis and say hi. So
yeah, so Nick Offerman, and so they're kind of the guys that want to blow up stuff. They they're those kind of guys. They want to launch the nukes, darn it. They're like that guy in Independence Day. Just keep launching nukes. So those are. Is there anyone else new? I think it's
not yet, but
not yet. Okay.
Later on, we get the lady from Ted Lasso.
Which lady is
briefly that? The lady,
the admiral on the
to the submarine.
So let's get to that aircraft carrier. And she had some kind of connection to the president. We're really not told. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, I can't remember the story she told.
Well, so the president sends Ethan to the aircraft carrier with a note that says May 22nd, 1993. I don't know why I remember that. But the note is basically referencing a date where the president and her were on a mission, and they said that if their superiors had listened to them, it would have worked out, but it didn't. So that was what the whole thing was about.
And apparently the president has a son who she hasn't been talking to, but he's like standing there the whole time. He's like guarding her room.
Also, if the fate of the world was in the balance, you think you'd want to be a little more clear in a letter instead of just like saying a date. It's like
she'll know. Yeah, I don't see much point to her character at all, other than it just gets Ethan.
Yeah, it just moved point A to point B.
Yeah, it gets Ethan to the milk check, and he does. So he gets in a helicopter, and they're getting chased by some MiGs. So he's like, "I'm out of here!" Just jumps out of the helicopter. Someone made a joke. It was because they had two female pilots, so he had to jump out.
Okay, so I told Michael about the aircraft carrier has a woman admiral that's in charge of it. I said, Michael, in the real world, there's only one woman that was in charge of an aircraft carrier in Australia, and she crashed it. I was like, there's a lot of jokes to be made here.
Good old Australia. So yeah, Ethan gets to the sub. The there's a dive team that like comes and gets him because he just jumped in the water.
They
I think it's
tase
supposed
him
to
in
be-
the water.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
seem safe at all.
I think it's supposed to be like Marines or something. I'm not quite sure because they have like the Marine flag on the back. I was just like, okay.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't-
drag him in there. It's like a Star Wars lady. She's like got a bunch of like stuff. I've seen her before, but she's like a tough lady. And she's in
I
charge
don't-
of the dive team.
Don't particularly care for her for other reasons, but it's fine.
She's been in a bunch of stuff.
She was like in the
places.
worst episode of Mandalore we've ever seen.
Yeah,
but
yeah. She was the Empire chick. So we reviewed Severance, so we really like Mr. Milkshake, so we were happy to see him here, and he
He-
still
he-
talks
he-
like Mr.
He
Milkshake.
was excellent.
he was a delight, an
Well,
ocular
mister.
delight. So I did like this. Like, if you want to poke the bear, you ran into the right guy.
Yeah, and he does all right. So Ethan decides it's time he's got to get on the treadmill because they have like this experimental dive suit that the oxygen lasts longer or something like that, and you can rise up real fast. It'll let you do that instead of have to go really slow. And they need like one of those pressure pods to decompress him when he gets back.
Hyperbaric chamber.
That's where Benji's team, because Ethan had put Benji in charge of the team, so they're in this really remote island where they meet an old friend of ours, the guy from the first Mission Impossible movie,
Got
Guy with the
fired.
knife.
from the server room. Well, I didn't get fired; he just got relocated to
True,
the worst place, but the best place for him because he meets his wife. And they're just happy being
How
married.
about worse? He had a
Never
really cool
teaches her
setup.
English.
He never talked.
You've been there for how long? Not one lick of English.
I don't know about the worst place ever. He had a really cool setup there.
It was
Like,
cool. It was a nice house.
Yeah, it's probably just boring.
Too bad they burnt it to the ground, but you know.
Oh no! All I have to do is read and listen to vinyl all day. Oh no!
So
I
they
get paid for this.
they think the tapes. There's some tapes that would have located the sub when it hit the ocean floor. So they're there looking for the tapes. The guy's like, "Well, Russians come, the good old Russians," and they're like, "We want the tapes." And okay, you got to make us a tape recorder so we can listen to the tapes. Or so they're in a tense situation where they got the Russians looking for the tapes, but then the guy tells Benji, "Hey, I burnt the tape. I got rid of the tapes, and I just memorized the coordinates, so there's no actual tape. So I'm gonna give it to my wife." And she's gonna go take the dogs and go to the place where Ethan needs to be. And Haley Atwell goes with her, volunteers, even though Tom had a premonition or whatever, because he had talked to the AI. He
That thing-
downloaded the Matrix and talked
that-
to the AI.
That pod thing looks so Metal Gear Solid. Just like
Yeah.
I was just like Snake.
So Tom kind of knows what the plan is and everything like that for the AI. I wish they had given the AI some character or something, make it interesting, because it's not interesting at all.
No.
It's just like Gemini or whatever's on your phone. It's basically just talking to that thing. And so we get the tense submarine action set. So it was pretty cool. So Tom gets in this old submarine, and he's got to get the source code. Submarine's underwater. It's when Tom gets in it, he starts it to roll. So it's gonna like fall off this cliff underwater. So the whole time he's going through this sub, the water rises and lowers depending on which way the ship or the sub is turning, and he's got to get the thing, and then he's got to get out of there because the door got blocked. So what's he gonna do? And he ends up getting through a torpedo tube. Can you open those from the inside like that? I don't know.
That I had no idea. I kept wondering, how's
That's
he gonna get out?
pretty questionable.
What was
thought he-
questionable is why they had a torpedo tube preloaded, because he's like opens up the first one. I was like, oh no.
Well, they were
I
like
think it's-
mid-fight whenever they went
Yeah,
down.
they were under attack.
Were they?
Yeah,
Well,
because
they
that was
thought
the
they
beginning
were.
of the first movie.
That's right. That's right. They sunk themselves
Because that
because
invisible
the
ship.
entity tricked them into thinking there was a sub, right?
Mhm.
And then they shot themselves. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. Because when he first opens up that tube, I was like, "Oh God, Death Live!"
I don't know. Because he kind of just like pushes it open. I thought he was gonna have
feel
something
like
blow
it,
it
like-
up.
It like floods
Yeah,
in,
I don't know if
and
the
then like
water
the
helps with
pressure,
the pressure.
yeah, pressure it out.
That's what it
I don't-
seemed
Oh,
like to me,
maybe.
but might just be a convenient answer.
And it was
That'd be-
cold down there, and he
that
had
would-
to take off his suit because
That
did
would
have
be
to get
my
Yankees.
nightmare, though, is getting in that tube and like going face first and going like, "Well, it's not opening."
Especially how small it was in there. No, thank you.
yeah, he couldn't fit in there, so he had to take his suit off and his little sub thing. So he gets out of there, and they had told him like, "You're probably not gonna make it. You probably are gonna die during this thing." And that's kind of what happens because he gets out and he starts swimming, but he doesn't have enough air to make it, so he kind of just suffocates and floats to the top. But luckily, Haley Atwell's there to get him out and put him in the pod. It didn't. They made a big thing about it being deep, but it didn't seem that deep. It seemed like he could see the surface.
Yeah.
I was like, that doesn't seem that deep. And also, can another person be in the pod with you while you're
did surprise me.
decompressed? Yeah, it's like
I was curious about that too. I'm just like, isn't that bad for you? But
I don't know. So I don't know. So then, so they've got what they needed. They got the little box, the source code.
Got his
And then
thumb drive, or not thumb drive, hard
it's
drive.
time to go to South America. I forgot that part. They had tricked the Russians because they were looking for the coordinates of that sub, and they told the Russians it was like on the other side of the world. Now that was the kind of funny part because he's exactly on the other side of and that's how they like figured it out. But yeah, so they get past there, and they got to go to South America. The whole team to meet Gabriel there because he's like, bring that box with you, and I'll give you the pill, and I'll take the source code. So they get there, and they do their thing, but the Americans get there too, and that's not part of the plan because they had a plan, it all set up, but they kind of ruined the plan, and. So this is the second action scene, right? So Gabriel, runs while everyone's shooting and there's all kinds of confusion, and Benji gets shot. Ow! So he's bleeding out, and he's got to get him and Haley Atwell and Mantis. They got to go into that room and set things up right to capture the entity. Meanwhile, Tom's got to run and catch a plane because Gabriel got on a biplane because it doesn't have computers and stuff, so it was safe. And he's flying away with the pill that they need. So Tom gets on a plane after him, and this was a cool action scene. So go ahead, Michael, and explain this scene to us.
The airplane one?
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the one I was talking about.
Oh, which one were you talking about?
Oh, the sub one was the one I loved.
Oh,
The sub one was
sorry, I thought
phenomenal.
Trying to
No,
get
you
to the
kept
airplane.
going. I was waiting for you to stop. I was like, I don't think he's
I
stopping.
thought you wanted the airplane one.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
tell us whatever you want.
The airplane one. Well, the airplane one was cool. It was interesting because you're gonna. At first, I thought because Gabriel's like, but I brought it back up. You're like, all right. So Tom's
Okay.
gonna go get that one. He's gonna fly after him, but then the guy is taking off with it, so he grabs the bottom.
The airplane one was cool until it turned into a literal cartoon at
That's
the end.
where I was going with it because it's like I told Thomas after this. I was like, Gabriel might be the worst villain in cinematic history.
Pretty bad.
He's horrible. He's especially they just took it to 11 here because like you get this crazy like real stunt that Tom's doing on these planes, climbing around like a lunatic, punches this poor man, lets him sloop out, and he falls to his death.
Do you think that part where Tom Cruise like peeked his head over the windshield and his face went
100%.
like, do you think that was just like
real?
like real? And he's like, just keep it, it's funny.
Well, it's like they have an ad. They had an ad where he's talking about, he's like, "See you at the movies," and he flies off, and it's a while they're filming that, and he's just standing on the side of the plane. I'm like, dude, you're a lunatic. But yeah, so then he takes the red plane up, and these red planes breaking down, little flaps breaking. So he's trying to climb on the red plane and grab the yellow plane. And he gets on the yellow plane and climbs it there. But the whole time we just get Gabriel, like literally, yeah, just villain laughing. He's just, you're like, what is? He's just like, why are you laughing? It's so like, I don't know. It's just like, yeah,
You're having a good time.
cartoonish is the only way to describe it, because this ruins a lot of this set piece for me because of how goofy it is. I'm like, I just can't take it seriously. So like, this was the big one where I feel like, genuinely, like the submarine one was one of the most impressive set pieces I've ever seen in my life. Like literally the whole time my jaw was on the floor because of like, oh man, it was so cool. Like that idea of him opening it and the water changing. Because I'm just thinking, oh man, this is gonna be like, he's down there, and it's weirdly placed, because I was thinking about this, because you see, like Joseph said, he's in the entity's little mask zone, and you see what's coming. You see Tom Cruise not butt naked, but he's in his undies and he's floating to the ice. You're like, we're gonna get to that point. And it's one of those things where, like, have you guys heard the study done where it was like, if you know spoilers, you statistically enjoy it more, which I hate that's awful to me because I hate spoilers. But like, and so, but it's a weird thing here, because you see that and you're like, okay, we know we're getting to that point, but how are we getting to that point? And so you have all those moments where he gets stuck and he takes off thing, but he still has the backpack, but the backpack gets caught on the thing and it's going down. But I don't know, this whole set piece was so good, and there like wasn't a word spoken for probably 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It was so quiet the whole time. But I love when he's first getting out of it and he has to like maneuver around. I have a very big fascination with big things underwater. So like whenever he gets out of the sub and he has to dodge the subs, oh my gosh, I was loving it so much. It's like, this is so cool. It's just so easy. Little guy just bouncing around the side of the wall and then going inside of it, and all the freaking missiles falling on top of him, because you knew it was going to happen, but you're like, oh my gosh, that's great. And then it blocks the door. I don't know. Love that entire set piece. And I also, him coming out of it was impressively not done cheesily, because it's like, how do you, okay, he's going to pass out, they're going to revive him, we're going to have some dramatic poof, poof, poof. But I thought it was really well done how they just had him, like, he's kind of out of it and Haley Atwell's just staying close to him to try and warm him up slowly in that decompression chamber. I thought it was really well done, where I didn't feel like it was lame in the slightest. And that I feel like that's very hard to do, to kind of bring someone back to life without it being lame like that. So that whole sequence, it was 10 out of 10. It took this movie up so much higher for me. Like, I actually really did enjoy the movie, but that sequence, man, holy cow, unbelievable. But the plane sequence just brought down a little bit by just the ridiculous cartoonage.
Thomas already kind of brought up the very end, how Gabriel just like, I have the last parachute.
Okay.
Tries to jump off the plane.
Racks himself and then donks himself in the head. And he's dead.
Well, the way he died was literally the cartoon death. Like, I honestly, I almost, I thought I was going to hear Goofy's laughter.
He's just going to sit something here and then start kicking. Yeah. Oh, man. Utterly absurd. And then they brought the thing back so in the first movie, so much of the action for me doesn't work in the first movie. Even the set pieces don't really work for me in the first movie.
Really?
The train one's good. But like the yellow bug car chase, didn't like that at all. Super cheesy and lame, and a lot of bad jokes put through it. But then the fight with him and Gabriel on the train, the first one, they focus on Gabriel's knives every time he pulls them out. It does this close up on the knife, like, what is this? Like, it's cartoony and it's overly dramatic. And so like compare the last fight on the plane, they do that zoom in thing, or the fight on the train, to the fight before he goes into the sub and he has that guy sneak up on him while he's on the treadmill. That fight was tense. There are no weird, awkward close-up shots of goofiness. But then, it goes back on the plane and he pulls out the knife again. It's right in front of the camera, and then he's stabbing. It's like dramatic. Da, 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 da. You're like, so that
the plane line
has issues.
Kind of reminded me of Fallout when he's fighting Cavill, because it's kind of set up the same way, where he's up in a plane and they're like down on the base trying to wait for his signal so they can plug in something so something doesn't explode. So it gave me very much vibes of Fallout's ending. It just was goofy and not
it was just
cool. Like,
there's not that cool part where he falls on the cargo that the helicopter's carrying. Instead, the guy's just giggling the whole time. Like, oh man, Gabriel's
having
horrible.
a good time.
He's
man.
horrible.
He's smiling, and
God, he's
he's
horrible.
bad. There is one thing that's going on at this time. It's the president. She's kind of in a war room,
Mhm.
and they're like deciding, hey, they got an idea. Hey, why don't we nuke all the cities, and then we'll even nuke one of our cities, so no one looks like it's suspicious or anything. And they're like, this is a terrible idea. And it is a terrible idea because, she's like, but hey, just turn off our nukes. And they could have done that like as soon as China went down. And I was like, why didn't you do that? That was like 20 minutes ago. But they wait till the timer gets all the way down. And then there's some traitors because there's people that are like for the entity. They kind of like believe in depopulating the earth. So there's like traitors everywhere. And one of them, I thought it was going to be both. They're kind of like these young security people. And I thought it was going to be both of them, but it's just the guy. The girl's actually a hero. She tries to stop him. But then Nick Offerman takes one for the team and he gets killed. And, so that was what was going on there. It wasn't very good, but
he dies like this, like
It's also like they try and set it up as though he's going to be the bad guy because he takes the gun from the security guard, but it's like the most lackluster payoff to a suspected villain the whole time. I was like, he died for sure, but
I didn't even like notice he got shot at first, until he like fell down.
Until I saw the little hole in his badges. So I was like, oh, he got hit. I didn't really realize that till now, but yeah.
Yeah, the sub pieces are great. Like you said, the sub is great. I had fun with the airplane one just because it was Tom doing real airplane stuff. Even though it was ridiculous.
Without the laughter, like him trying to get the thing because he's trying to get the plug in the Force code while they're trying to trap the entity in a little ball. Where I feel like that was also a really good scene with I almost said Sean Penn. Why can't I think of his name? Sean Pegg, right?
Simon Pegg.
There you go. Jeez Louise. Where he's shot and he's like trying to get a tracheotomy go. Actually, it was more like a chestiotomy. I don't know what that's called, but it's like where they get the straw to open up the lung
thing.
And while he keeps passing out because he's telling Haley, he's like, just don't cut the no way, the red one, don't cut the red one. So I felt like that added some really good tension. The whole time I did think we were going 007 and Tom was going to slam it in as he's falling without a parachute, but he does end up getting a parachute out of the airplane.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, is he going to go out Daniel Craig style or something?
Although I don't know why he's in the plane's burning, but he has time to shove it in. But he's like, no, well, wait. And he jumps and then he's like trying to do it in the air. I'm like, what did you do while you're sitting and then jump out? But I'll leave it to you, Tom.
Yeah. I thought maybe Simon Pegg would die. I thought a lot of people would die. No one died. Just poor Ving Rhames died.
Not even the three around the bomb where they're like, we can't do this. Wait, we have 10 seconds. And then they're like, well, we can cut it. And then, but can you make it? It's like, just have the one guy cut it. But then also, like, my suspicion triggers were immediately put where he's like, I'll stay behind. Like, why you? What are you going to do? And so I thought for sure he was going to try and kill him. But then they all just make it out fine. Because he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I will stay behind. Why?
What? Who are you, dude?
Also, we haven't seen you in 20 years.
Giant bombs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. It was too long. It could have been 2 hours.
Yeah. The whole beginning needed to be shortened up for sure.
Yeah. And they explain everything in that first. We go through the plan like 3 times. It is ridiculous how many times we get the plan. It's awful. Everything has to be explained.
I'm worried about that with TV now. Like we're watching The Last of Us, they're over explaining everything. It's like they're just dumbing down everything for everyone. Like, give people some credit, man. Like
nothing can be inferred. It has to be spelled out.
It's especially this movie was really bad about just let me tell you exactly how this works from A to Z. And you're like,
did you know, Michael, that this is his final reckoning?
It's the entity.
Oh, they even say it. They said
it like 4 times.
Like, this is your reckoning, Hunt. Shut up, Gabriel.
It's like oh man, I'm gonna go on a rant when we do Last of Us, but I'll save that for that. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun movie. It could have been shorter. It could have been tightened up a lot. It's the last movie. What do you guys think of it being the last movie of this franchise?
Could be worse, honestly. Could be the first part. Could be 2. But I mean, I enjoy 2. Caveat. 2 is basically just Face Off with Tom Cruise.
2 is silly, man.
That it is. It's a John Woo movie.
Oh man.
And I love that movie just because it's so silly and kind of stupid. Randomly, Anthony Hopkins is in it.
Hopkins is great
for no reason.
The stupid doves flying out of the tunnel.
Dude, that's
God.
John Woo, though.
And the
That's
backflips.
John Woo.
So many backflips in slow motion.
I think it was just Tom Cruise. Like, I could do a backflip. We'll see you do a backflip. But
oh man, that movie. Good lord.
I do enjoy that. The thing is, though, it never went full that.
No.
And so this one just wasn't as fun, but not as like serious as the third one.
Yeah.
So it's very middle. Like, again, not as bad as the first part. First part was just boring, unfortunately. This one had a bit more going for it, but even still, like, it was okay. Not the greatest, not the worst.
Like Michael said, worst villain out of all of them.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
Easily.
Yes,
I
easily.
mean, you had Philip Seymour Hoffman. You had that Jared guy that talks weird. You had Henry Cavill. I mean, you had some great. John Voight's a bad guy. I don't even remember who the second bad guy was.
I don't either.
So the second villain, believe it or not, was the original Wolverine that they had
yeah.
cast. And he said no to that because I want to be in a Mission Impossible movie.
Oops.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Oops.
So yeah, I don't mind it ending kind of happily.
Although
Because
we do have to put a point on how awful that lame sequence was where they're all standing in the middle of wherever they wear pairs or something like that. It was horrible. That was a horrible scene. I was like, it's just now Tom turned to the left or to the right. Now the other way. Goodbye, Benji. It's like, but then they all seem to be walking. I don't know. A horrible scene. Horrible
so
scene.
bad.
But
I was expecting like Jeremy Renner to be there. Like,
Well, honestly, yeah, right. Well, I mean, honestly, it should have ended like Ocean's 11 ended, where they all like were meeting up at the cafe, kind of like laughing.
yeah, it could have been a small area, not this whole.
Yeah.
And then one by one, people start to leave, and then it's just Tom Cruise. That would have been a way better ending
It's
than
all horrible. I get the idea. I feel like the distant idea is look at all these people we saved, but it just wasn't done well at all.
No. What they should have done was have Tom Cruise climbing a mountain and them just standing up there watching it.
And then birds just go off. And credits. Dun, 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 dun. Although, but it did leave a little hanger. They have the entity, which we'll also say is another horrible villain, in his little carrying case.
Yeah, you got him. Yeah, if they ever want to do another one, they can make him a
It's like,
character.
Why haven't they smushed that yet?
Yeah.
I know. You're
It's
basically
because they need to upload it to Megan for that movie, so she can
The robot villain.
well,
fight-
you're basically carrying around Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Like you just crush it. Just crush it. That's all you got to do. It can't get out anywhere.
or like into Raiders of the Last Ark, where they're wheeling it into like a big warehouse. Yeah, very long. The pee I took after the movie probably added another hour to the movie. I mean, I was standing there for a while. It was crazy.
Well, we had a very why is it always me having like the worst service? It's always when we go specifically for this podcast, I have bad service at Alamo. So okay, I get there early because I do. And somebody's in my seat. It's this older couple. And I was like, I think I'm here. He's like, no, it's me and my wife. I'm like, okay.
Raise
So,
the flag.
I sit down here. I ask the server, I'm like, hey, dude, like, am I in the right? I don't think I'm in the right spot. I think they're in my spot. He's like, oh, yeah, they are. Talks over and then just walks away. I'm just like,
Okay.
I guess we didn't resolve that. So then this other person comes in and they see me sitting there. I'm like, hi. And he's like, I think I'm supposed to sit here. I'm like, yep, I'm supposed to sit right there, but they're in my spot. He's like, I guess I'll just sit here. I'm like, okay. So his friend comes up and he's like, are we supposed to sit right here? He's like, no, well, we were, but he's in that spot because they're in that spot. And he like sits down and I'm just like, hi.
And I walk in, there's just a crowd everywhere. And I was like,
well, this poor
my
guy
spot was open.
This poor guy like comes in. He has like a handicapped son, and he like tries to explain to the elderly couple, "Hey, we're supposed to be right here." He's like, "Okay, I guess we'll just take these seats over here." And the poor kid's like so confused. And then Michael just like sits right in his spot. His seat was the only one that was not taken.
I was like, "Why?"
And
He's there. He's like, "I'm supposed to be there." I'm like,
he's just like, "Are you supposed to be over there?" I'm just like, "I don't want to talk about it."
It was
and so.
Where were they supposed to be?
They were supposed to be in front of us in the handicap spot.
Oh.
But for some reason, they decided to plop themselves right there and just like not be moved. And even like when the waiter came, he's like, what do I owe you? It's like, you pay after. So
yeah, it was like mid movie. Like he's like taking his order. He's like, all right, how much do I owe you? He's like, oh, we'll just bring the check afterwards.
Oh, okay. And also,
oh man,
I just need to get food from now on. I swear to God. Because like I always order popcorn, and I'll admit I overeat my popcorn because that's like my movie snack. That's the one snack that I overeat on. So I finished the first bowl like within an hour or so, but I think that's pretty reasonable. And I'm like, hey, refill on the popcorn, no butter. That I don't like popcorn butter. Michael, it was another hour before I got another bowl of popcorn.
But they took the paper within like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But they just didn't bring popcorn for like 45.
For anybody.
Yeah, it was because when for everyone.
They brought me popcorn, they brought out like 5 bowls of popcorn. I'm just like,
they're like, it's a long movie. They can wait.
Yeah.
We don't want to bring 3.
Right, I refuse to like drink my water fast. I'm like, that's all the water I'm going to get this entire movie. And at the end of it, I like looked over at Michael. I'm like, I tipped this douchebag $1. Like, what the hell? So, oh God. But
yeah, again, at ours they take the credit card like very beginning, and they have it, and then they just give you the receipt at the end. So
just charge it, yeah, kind of like a bar tab, yeah. Which I get, like I get that, but it's always like when we go see movies for this podcast, I always get the worst.
True.
When I go on my own, I'm fine because I'm a huge like I love Alamo Drafthouse, but man, every time we go for this podcast, I get screwed.
They want you to have a story, Thomas. They need you to have a story. All right, I think that's going to do it for this time. Like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff, and we will catch you next time. Bye.